Sister Mouse, a small tale of Sister's house in Salem. Long ago, in old America, there lived a mouse in a town called Salem, at the edge of the wilderness. The mouse was named Mouse Kraus, and she lived in Sister's house. Sister's house was where all the older girls and single women lived until they decided to get married. And the single brothers, they had a brother's house. And the families, they each had a family house. How very unusual, the customs of olden times in Salem. In those days, the little girls of Salem could not read, and they wanted to read. They could not count, and they wanted to count. And so the elders of the town sent word up north to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. They themselves had lived there once, for a reading and counting teacher. And Catherine, it turned out, was the one who was asked, and the one who came. Catherine came with some of the others. These were the 7 strong girls who walked down from Bethlehem to Salem together, 500 miles. The 7 often stopped to mend their socks as they walked the long walk, and all unknown to them, in their sewing basket, carried by Catherine, was Mouse Kraus. She had fallen asleep in the very comfortable basket filled with the linen scraps up in Bethlehem. "How very interesting," said Mouse Kraus as she watched the sewing. She soon made clothes for herself, just like the girls. A long skirt, a short jacket, and a cap. "Cher schön, how fine you look, Mouse Kraus," she said happily. "So useful a thing for a mouse to learn to sew." At last, the 7 strong girls came to Salem, and naturally they opened the door and went to live in Sister's house. The strong girls left their bags and baskets in the hall, and Pop, Mouse Kraus, followed them into the Sister's house and suddenly disappeared down a small hole in the wall. Sister's house was a very fine place for strong girls, but also a very fine place for mice. Mouse Kraus was warmly greeted by the head mouse. There were many rooms and stairs and passages in the mouse house, tucked behind the walls of Sister's house. The mice were all very kind, thought Mouse Kraus. I shall be happy here. Mouse Kraus liked to do her washing on Tuesdays in a small tin cup which she found behind a cabinet in the kitchen. The wash house, where the sisters did their laundry, was outside in the garden. "Oh no, Frau Kauter, Mrs. Cat." What an unpleasant surprise for Mouse Kraus. Luckily, Mouse Kraus had her sewing needle. "Watch out, Frau Kauter." But it was not really Mouse Kraus who frightened away Frau Kauter. It was Sister Catherine. She had just come into the garden. "Was tust du, Schwesterlein?" "What are you doing, little sister?" said the girl to the mouse. She was very surprised to see a mouse wearing a skirt and a cap and a jacket, just like a sister. Sister Catherine tucked Mouse Kraus into the pocket of her apron. "You will come with me to school, Sister Mouse, where you will be safe. The little girls will love to meet you." Sister Catherine's school for little girls was in the Gemeinhaus, the town hall next to Sister's house. Mouse Kraus curtsied very prettily for the little girls. Guten Tag, Schwester Mouse." "Hello, hello, Sister Mouse." What an enchanting new friend, and such very nice manners. Mouse Kraus came to the school every day with Sister Catherine. Sister Catherine taught the girls how to read and to write in English and in German, how to count and sing and sew. Mouse Kraus was delighted with the lessons, but her favorite subject was sewing. How straight and fine and small were her stitches. Sister Mouse, would you please help me with my embroidery?" cried the little girls, each one. Of course she would. One day after school, Sister Catherine rushed back to Sister's house. She was very excited. There were new books with pictures in Brother Tragout's store, just across the square. Was there any extra money to buy the books? The elder said no. Poor little girls. Sister Catherine went sadly to bed. But wait, Mouse Kraus had heard everything. Soon she had a wonderful idea. She ran down the passages and up the stairs behind the walls, straight to Sister Catherine's room. Mouse Krause knew that the sisters sometimes made gloves to sell to Brother Trago. She found a basket full of scraps. Snip, snap, snip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She sewed gloves and gloves and more gloves. Mouse Krause fell asleep at last in the sewing basket. How surprised Sister Catherine was the next morning. 10 fine pairs of gloves. Who had made them? Why, it was Sister Mouse. There she was, her furry little self, with a needle still clutched in her paw. Sister Catherine ran across the square to Brother Traggett's store. He was very happy to buy the gloves, so finely made. Sister Catherine proudly came back with an armful of books, beautiful books for all the little girls. From that day on, Brother Traggett bought everything that Mouse Krause could make. Sister Catherine said that they would soon have enough money to pay for a new school building. And perhaps someday, even a college in the town of Salem at the edge of the wilderness. Thank you, Sister Mouse. The end.